Hey, it's Friday again. You guys know what that means. Time for real talk, AI and cyber now. I got a special guest with me, Michael from Hatz. Talk to me, my man.
Hey, how we doing? Thanks so much for having me on here. And really, what we're going to do today, we're partners of Valancer. We have a very strong relationship, so we want to talk about what we're seeing in the world a little bit from perspective of someone that may be working on AI with Valancer, and even give a look into the platform. And then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So we're looking forward to a great session this afternoon. And thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. While you get that share ready, I got to tell you, man, I am a fanboy. We, I guess on this whole AI thing, before we get right into the demo, it's kind of like a conversion event, really. I've been seeing that. The more people I talk to, it's kind of like we were at a college yesterday and just talking with some of the students. It was like, on a personal level. So, yeah, what are you doing with AI? Yeah, I don't want that. It's going to end of the world. Or maybe it was, man, I love it, and it's really kind of in a cultural transition where we're really seeing business owners come from a place of, I don't know enough to know enough. If I know enough to make the decision right now, to this is not for us, to this is absolutely today's technology. It empowers people. We got to get on board. We got to secure what's going on, get on board and get this train rolling, right? So we're
Yep.
seeing that transition right now. And you guys, we did a POC with you guys probably 6 months or so ago. We've been using you guys' service for about 6 months, and our engineers love it. We love it. Big fans. So thank you for
Yeah.
being on the show. We want to share the stuff that we know works, and we know that it's scalable and it's solid with our clients. So glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ron. So, let's get into it here. Really, we'll kind of start with like a perspective of like a customer that you may work with, and what really we see here at Hats from what they're seeing, what we feel is helpful, and then of course we'll get into the platform a little bit. That's kind of where the fun begins, so to speak. But anything else you want to add there before we jump in?
No, go for it, man.
Perfect. Sounds good. So typically what we're seeing and why anybody would probably work with AI and customers on their own is like AI is like having an infinite amount of experts. So like one of the problems that or things Valancer could help with for anybody on the meeting here, it's like, how do you know that everybody in your business is using AI as a co-intelligence? Like how are they using it every day? Because what we typically see is there's a couple power users that are in there every day. Oh yeah, it's great. I do all this stuff with it. But there's tons of people that don't even know the capabilities. And then they're kind of at a disadvantage where if a competitor is using AI to do processes that someone's doing manually, they're in a lot of cases going to be more competitive, more efficient. And that's kind of the thing where we help solve for this problem. And it's not going to replace anybody's job by any means, because you need the human element in order for AI to work. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. Some of the security aspects, and of course, Valancer, they are experts in security. That's one of the big things that a lot of people work with them on based on our conversations. So what we have, and typically what we'll see a lot of times is at organizations, business owners may not realize, but there generally is a lot of unauthorized AI usage occurring on a day-to-day basis where people use tools that are available. I mean, anybody that searches anything in Google nowadays sees the AI summary and it's like, wow, that's really nice. It gives me all this great information. So they may then just go to Gemini and see, how could I get more of stuff like that? ChatGPT, I think, grew to over 1 billion users within its first year. So people that were just going on using it, not really knowing what it is. Oh yeah, you have a question, throw it in ChatGPT. And there's other things like Claude and DeepSeek and other models where this is a real example that one of our partners, like similar to like Valancer, we work only through managed service providers and IT solutions providers, really work with them to deliver an AI platform that is secure, that kind of alleviates these different risks. One of our partners actually pulled a report and saw that at an organization, the owner thought that there was about 3 people using AI, and they found that there was actually 35 people using AI on average of 221 times per day. Their sensitive data was going into these different tools, and that is a big risk because there's a thing called third-party training where the way that these AI engines work, and I'll kind of go into it when we get into hats, but anything that is put into an AI LLM, large language model, gets stored in there if you go to these websites directly. With our model, it is no third-party training. So it is a secure platform, and that's really the big reason of why, you know, we work with companies like Valancer, why they are comfortable using it internally, is they don't want information that they're putting in there to get sent out to a third party. Hence, that's really the big piece of our platform that we look to solve for. So we alleviate that risk of the unsecure AI. And then we help with adoption. So like meeting your staff where they are is going to be important, because for somebody that's never used AI before, them going to using it every single day for everything is going to be a jump. So you kind of want to start small. That would be like a crawl use case, you know, get them to the realization of value. Then we get to walk. Then we get to run. Now, it's a very easy to follow analogy. Okay, yeah, crawl, walk, run, start small, get bigger to where you're now, you know, running. And that's where we have a whole training course designed around that for anybody that uses the platform. That's our AI champion certification. So brand new training that just came out. It's 60 minutes. It's quick. We're not asking for a whole lot of time. It's really great for any partner that we work with and any of their customers that are using this to take the training, because it really explains, you know, how do I use it? How do I get the most value? You know, it helps to demystify AI and the concepts. You know, it helps with understanding how to best use the platform, how to track that impact and ROI, and how to plan for that adoption and expansion. So those are kind of the back end slides here. And then we have different integrations as well. And I'm going to show a lot of this stuff live, but that's really the things to consider. You know, why AI? Well, a lot of times it's happening. It's being used today. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to get a secure place to use those same LLMs, the same models. Think of like, you know, a different flavor of ice cream, so to speak. There's different flavors of AI, and we give 50 different flavors within our platform. So I'm going to switch over here, and we're going to go to share this other tab here, where now we're going to have the environment itself. So for anybody that uses our tool, and you know, the team at Valancer, any customers, you know, this is what they see when they log in. So you're going to have a really nice piece of the environment here where there's different areas. So I think what most people think of with AI is the chat functionality. So very similar to like what someone would get if they go to one of those websites that I mentioned before directly, you still have access to those tools within the platform. So there are currently 50 different LLMs that we provide access to. So through a single subscription, you get access to all of these different models. So the different models are good at different things. And people will ask, well, how do I know what's the best at something? So what we always say is, if you don't know how to use Hatz, just ask Hatz. Ask the AI, you know, what should I be using? And it's not going to be, I guess, favoritive or misleading is a new word. Like if you ask ChatGPT, tell me the difference between Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, and Grok. Give me pros and cons of each. It will. It's not going to say, oh, sorry, you know, use ChatGPT, don't use the other ones, because some of them are good at image generation. Some of them are good at giving you fast responses. Some of them are good at reasoning, thinking like a human being. And that's where we do group those into categories here. So you can see we try to make it somewhat easy, but it can be overwhelming with all these different models. That's another great area where a partner like Valancer can assist and say, you know, we're going to disable some of these. You don't need 50. We're going to give you the 5 that we think are the best for your needs. And we work with partners on that sort of thing all the time. So part of the capability is what we're looking at here, just the different models. Now, there's also an ability where agents can be created. So I have my Hatz AI agent right here, which is trained on all of the Hatz information. So questions I get all the time. So I know we've talked about, well, what is security? Well, let's ask my agent that I've trained, how does Hatz AI handle security? Because I can answer the question, but I'm also trying to demonstrate a nice thing that the team at Valancer can make, and that's these agents for organizations. So if we ask, how does Hatz AI handle security? I picked a reasoning model here, which is why you see it thinking like a human, because I like to kind of have like human-like responses. Now, I'll talk about, let this thing kind of go out here, but most importantly, you see it's still going. There's a lot of different things that I prompted in here to allow it to kind of give me talking points and whatnot, but I'm going to kind of just go right to here because I think it's pretty important, the core security message. So It's security first. So this thing is still going. Should be done any second here, I think. Talk track, objection handling. Okay, here we go. So the message. So it's built to prevent shadow AI. So shadow AI is like when you put something in there, it goes into OpenAI. That does not happen with us. There is no third-party training. It is a secure AI platform. It has tenant isolation. So any company that puts their data in here, including Valancer and anybody else that we work with, they have their own tenant within our own server environments. So we have US-based storage in AWS Virginia, and then we have GCP Ohio data centers. Everything is going to be separated out. Your data stays yours. No training on customer data, strict agreements with the LLM providers. So you still get to use ChatGPT or Claude or there's 50 choices. And those are all in here, the things that people would normally go to directly, but it's secure. There's no training happening. There's encryption happening. SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We also have our SOC 3 certification. So Hatz has a trust center that anybody that wants to see this for themselves, we can send you the actual report to show that we handle security. We have regular pen testing. We have role-based access controls. So all of that's kind of, important in the sense of gone are the days of I don't want to use AI because I'm afraid where my data goes. We've thought of that. It's handled. You don't have to worry about it. Now, beyond that, we also have a bunch of different tools that can be utilized. So one of the common misconceptions about AI is if I ask ChatGPT something, it's also going to search Google. It doesn't. You need to configure different tools to reach out beyond what the LLM has access to. So that's where with Hatz, we have all these different tools available. Like if you want Google to be part of the search of an AI query, that's where you're going to want to enable Google search, or you may want to enable Firecrawl or Exa or Tavly. We have customers that are real estate firms that want to reference Google Maps when they're looking at something. We have different integrations. So our Outlook, are things like Gmail and Slack, and these are added day in and day out. And just because they have a beta flag doesn't mean that they're not secure or not usable. They're not completed. We're still adding more features. So they're very usable today. They're just not to the point where we know that there's more we could accomplish with AI. So we want to continue to add features. And we have people that absolutely use them today, but we don't want to say that they're completely finished until we know that we've taken advantage of the full possibility of what can be integrated with that.
So, Michael, if I can interrupt you for a minute,
Yeah.
this is the part where most of our clients' eyes light up. Is when they get it. They've tried. Maybe they're a little bit of a tech themselves, and maybe they've run some old llama and downloaded something locally and ask it what time is it, and realize, hang on a minute, there's a lot that's needed behind the scenes to really connect this LLM to anything meaningful. And
Right.
then the complications start when you start trying to build that on site. And then you realize, man, hang on a minute. There's a reason that a lot of people move to something like, office.com or Microsoft 365, right? There's a reason that there's a place for many businesses to outsource some of the complexity of today's technology to SaaSes. And you guys have done a really good job here of tying the tools and putting the MCP servers in the background and a lot of the tech that's required. You guys have made that pretty much no code as you move forward. I know you're going to probably move on to, walk and run and some of the other stuff and building. And it's just amazing the platform itself. Usually when we show the 50 LLMs, like, okay, we've seen that. And then you start tying the tools together like Firecrawl and Google search and maybe the Python interpreter. Then you start recognizing, wait a minute, this is really nice, and tying it into your email and LinkedIn. It's like, wow, okay, I'm starting to really feel the power of this thing. So this is where most clients really start to, convert, if you will, to the power of what today's technology offers.
Yeah, and that's a great example because there's times where you mentioned the Firecrawl and the Python code interpreter and the Google searching. Like if you choose one of these older models, like if you go in here and you choose Claude 3 or one of the ones that are less recent, and you ask, tell me about stock market trends today, it's not going to give you a good answer because it doesn't have that up-to-date information in it, because someone would need to put that information in for the model to learn how to output the response. So us having these different tools available is like, well, hit Google search, and then it's going to look at the relevant times. So I think that's a great example and a great kind of transitionary point into chat would very much be like the crawl. Now when you get to like the walk and the run, that's where you had our workshop, which actually recently this morning just had a very nice update where we now have this, you could sort and choose these by business category. So it's very nice. You have all these different business categories of things where there are different pieces of automation in here. So really no code environment. So what does that mean? Well, anybody can come in here and they can create an app, they can create a workflow, they can create an agent. Like my agent that I've created, for example, the one that I used to answer that security question, that's going to be listed right here. This agent, it's not very hard to build. I gave the current sources where I get asked about security. So we have a whole security brief document. I get asked about things like, tell me about your platform, tell me about how you handle different compliances. So I've loaded those sources up. And then I've configured this agent to give me answers as it delivered. Like talk about how we help MSPs and we help end customers and everything understand how to use Hatz. So these prompts can be developed by the Valancer team. They can be developed by any customer, but there's different ways to take advantage of what these different things can do. Aside from the agent, we also have a workflows and we have apps. So part of that is, one of the ones that I've also made and where, people that want to take a look at these on their own, they're able to come in here and create these. And it's, there's no coding needed. I know there may be some technical folks watching. This is not very hard to use. You can come in here, you could have at it, you could program, and then we have a whole great team at Valancer if there's any additional assistance needed. That's typically where our partners will come in and they'll assist depending on if it's like, hey, I want to build something that helps me, create PowerPoint slides, or I need help with something that is going to, help me create social media posts, or something that helps me streamline instead of every time HR has a question, they have to go through a 50-page handbook and it takes them 40 minutes to find what they're looking for. That could all be automated where you put all that into an agent and you created the HR agent and you ask, hey, what's our time off policy? Do we have Columbus or Indigenous Peoples Day off as a company holiday? Things along that nature where you ask it and it gives you the answer right away without digging for that information. Aside from that, there are other ones in here. So we saw the different categories under the Discover tab. So there's a bunch in here that they may be usable depending on the type of things. We even have, most popular. So a lot of construction companies will leverage this for the construction RFP agent, where there's an RFP kind of interpreter. There is different things along the mindset of different use cases in areas, whether it's business. If you click on business, there's a bunch of different stuff in here as well. And any of these can kind of be cloned and mimicked. But the point being, it's like, this is really where I think to the earlier point of, wow, AI could really do this for me. We're really looking to provide something that allows organizations to take a task that would normally take them hours, days, weeks, and bring that down into minutes with the things within this workshop, within the tools, within all the different areas. And then also, I think another area is the phone agent as well. So if anybody has a number that they generally will call, and this is another very big power of AI, there's a lot of times I'll call an office to make an appointment, or I'll call somewhere and you just get the voicemail and then you never hear back. And it happens all the time. So with this is an area where if anybody has one of those phone numbers that, maybe it's a customer support line or it's a sales line or it's executive assistant, you could buy this phone agent and then you can program it to give an opening message. You can prompt it, you are a support agent, or even if we do like a customer support, you are responsible for customer support. You're going to be connected with customers over the phone. The customer's responses will be transcribed for you. Follow these instructions. Gather their key information. What's your name? What's a contact method? Any relevant information. The point being, it's like you could put anything you want in here, and then instead of that phone call going to voicemail, and then you just have to call back and waste 30 minutes to try to gather that information, you have a summary sent to you that gives their name, why they called, their number to be contacted. Everything is easily accessible so that you call them back and it's like, okay, yeah, we have availability for next Tuesday, rather than going through the whole thing. Tell me why you called again. I didn't have a chance to listen to the voicemail. You could pick from 100 different voices and sounds. If you want a young adult woman that is from the
Hi there.
UK,
I'm an AI support agent named Adele. To get started, could you please tell me your first and last name?
and you could change the volume and the speed. You could change any of these. It's very customizable. And even you can see some of them have different genres where if you want something that is customer support, like we have that category. If you want one that's conversational, we have that category. And all that is kind of, you could develop from there. And again, Team at Valancer is available to assist with any of this stuff if it's an area where how do I do that? Like, I want that, but I need help. That's why you have a great partnership. And that's kind of where Hatz also comes in. We work with the Team at Valancer, on these types of use cases day in and day out, where if it's something that they want to bring us in to assist, and we have a whole team of people that can help, all that is available.
Hey, Michael, let me shine a little light on that real quick,
Yeah.
folks. It usually starts with our AI Jumpstart program, and it's usually for people that are asking, does AI make sense for us? And if so, how much and where and what should we, because there's dangers, right? It should be used for some things and not others. We shouldn't have AI deciding who we hire, but it's okay for AI to bring me some resumes that maybe match, a certain, listing and so forth. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, as the way we normally see it progress is there's a question of what to do, and then there's the chatting where we're kind of doing it manually. We're prompt engineering, we're building it in, and once we get it like we want it and figure out the right workflows that make sense, then it becomes this right, built specifically for a specific workflow with different things, different prompts already built in it. So it really makes it very customizable in this step right here.
Exactly. And you're thinking about it the right way. That even kind of is a nice kind of bridge into some of the learning that we have, that it goes into, well, how do I get started? What's a way to think of a use case? And this is the course that recently just came out, and I did it. It came out on the 3rd. I completed it right away because I wanted to learn, what could I do with it? And to your point, yeah, the biggest thing is that there are ways to kind of prompt the correct way. There are ways to think about the adoption within an organization. What does that adoption look like? We said like that crawl, walk, run. Well, we talk about why, people that get started sooner are the ones that are reaping the benefits longer term. There's a saying in technology. It's actually in here. Part of it is like the immediate term. I think it's like right here. I'll spend all day trying to find it, but it's like we tend to underestimate the short term and overestimate the long term in terms of AI, in terms of technology. So people will, or no, it's reversed. We tend to overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term. So like thinking, oh, AI is going to put my house on the moon. That's probably not going to happen. But if you start using it now, these models will continue to be able to do more stuff. And that's where, just getting started is usually the best way to progress through that. In this course, it really gives a business the tools that they need to know, okay, these are the types of things I should be leveraging the Valancer AI program for, versus these are things that probably won't work for it just yet, but it may be something to keep in the back of the mind, because it could be in a year or two that they do work. And that's kind of the way that we look at it. We kind of have a whole thing about how to use our products and all that stuff here. So that's another big problem that we solve for, is the adoption and helping people understand it, because we get a lot of people that ask, it's like, or people that use ChatGPT and these other websites. And they're like, I use it for like reading my emails. I was actually just on with a partner prior to this meeting, and he's like, like our customers are saying that they use it for very basic things, and they like use it to read their emails and summarize their emails, and they don't really think it's all that valuable. And I'm like, well, they haven't found, like, they're very much in the early crawl stage where they have not got to the point where they can really take advantage of what AI can do. And that's really what we look to assist with, is taking it from, okay, that's a shiny, nice to have thing, to, okay, I spend hours responding to this RFP every time I get one of these, and my business bids on RFPs all the time. With your tool, it's now taking me 20 minutes. So those 7 hours that I used to spend every Friday or whenever I go through my RFPs, I'm now able to do something else. And you find something like that really becomes the whoa moment. It's like, all right,
Yes.
I'm seeing that value now. And that's, again, long answer, but I think that's part of it for sure.
Michael, it's hard to describe that conversion moment where you get it on a personal level. For me, it happened when I was teaching our red team on a Thursday lunch and learn type deal, cybersecurity. We had a cybersecurity lab. We were hacking into vulnerable boxes and so forth. And we kind of started, instead of Google fooing, which is part of cybersecurity, we started using ChatGPT, right? As it was coming out. And immediately it became quite clear that ChatGPT was the teacher of the class, not just a Google foo. And there was a conversion where for me personally, I started to see, okay, this really is kind of bringing electricity in. It is kind of revolutionary in that it allows me on a personal level to do so much, not only quantity, but quality. It brings a high degree of quality to any pursuit if you understand what it really is, which is a cape for people. Nobody leaves home without their phone now, right? It'd be crazy. Right. I mean, that's where AI is now. And I think businesses are getting to the point that they realize the security side of it is forcing us to do something. And it's uncomfortable to go, to realize that we're standing still while other people are running. It just makes it that much harder to catch up, even though that truth is kind of gnawing at people, because it's the investment in AI is ridiculous, because those who get it realize, man, this is the kind of thing that's going to separate any pursuit that has to do with things that are making people better, from, figuring out as a business owner how to do different things, figuring out as, pretty much anything. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's exactly really the point. And we'd say, just get started. A lot of people are like, well, how? And that's why we have like the whole training, the crawl, walk, run. And some people will say, yeah, I'm not getting the answer that I want. And a lot of times that goes into, well, what are you asking it? You have to talk to AI like a human being. And that's why in that learning, we have a whole kind of piece of this it's called prompt engineering. So this is where it talks about how to ask it the right questions, because if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right response. So we talk about, the best practices for that. We talk about, we even give examples of like natural language, be specific, be one request at a time. And if you put the right in, you'll get the right out. That's why it won't ever come to a point where it's like, well, if we start using that, then we're going to have people that don't have jobs. It's like, that's not the point. The point is, like, if they're not humans, it's pretty much useless. It needs that human touch in order for it to operate optimally. But yeah, I know we were thinking about Q&A. I pretty much got wrapped up there. I think that's most of what the demo had to offer. Anything that you thought I may have missed in there that we would like to show while we have it up?
No, man, you did a great job. Thank you for going through that. That was insightful. I think the first question would be around security. Where it's a tenant. How secure are you guys? Who is Hatz? Where did you come from? Who are you? Why should I care? There's so many AI products. Everything's fancy and wow, and it's so buzzwordy. Give us some reasons to believe in you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hatz, myself, the founder of Hatz, Jimmy Hatzel is his last name, as well as like a bunch of our other engineers. And there's another founder that was also associated with where I'm going here. So we all came from a company called Scout Cybersecurity. So Jimmy and another guy were founders at Scout. Well, really, Aiden Kehoe was the founder of Scout. Jimmy was working for Aiden. I was also working for Aiden. And Scout was a SOC as a service platform. So 24/7, 365 security monitoring, really looking to fight ransomware, business email compromise, data exfiltration. We mentioned Red Team and all that, like really handling complex cybersecurity issues where we would get called into some of the most nasty use cases where a business was completely under ransomware. They need help. We can't work. We're going to lose everything we work for. So that's kind of the framework of the people who are here. So that company, Scout Cybersecurity, ended up getting sold to Barracuda Networks and is now Barracuda XDR, a global security operations center. It has grown to, it completely matured, and that's all the framework of what Scout was. So me and all those other people that were at Scout, I joined Hatz a little bit longer, but it was really Jimmy and the founder of Hatz that came in and they said, we want to develop a secure AI platform that solves the AI issue. Because at the time, back that was around 2017, 2016 when Scout was getting started. That's where, security monitoring, people used to think, oh, I have antivirus, I'm okay. Yeah. And now we look at today in 2025, if you don't have 24/7 monitoring of your assets, typically it's a recipe for disaster. And I think you would know more than I. You guys are network security professionals. So that's part number one. So we said, well, AI is booming in this 2025. I mean, we look at, if you just, for anybody that does research or looks at the stock market, like you look at a company like AMD that goes up 25% in a day because they announce a partnership with OpenAI. It is the hot ticket item right now. People that are like, the reason that investors believe in something like that is they know that it's going to absolutely propel whoever is touching it. Same thing with NVIDIA, any of these biggest companies that we're looking at. They're using AI. It's a huge part of their business. That's why they're growing exponentially. So we know that small and medium businesses need that growth. They need the help of AI. So we decided, how do we develop a secure AI platform that managed service providers and technology companies like Valancer can use and then provide to all of their customers to help them with a safe AI environment where people that know AI needs to be used aren't just going out and putting stuff into these language models that is sensitive information, because there's a whole risk associated with that. So really, we're born from a security company. We have our SOC 2, SOC 3 reports that show we've done a variety of different things to show how seriously we take security. We have to take training. We have to make sure that we're taking proper actions. There's regular monitoring on all of our machines. It was a security company at the time that is really now a security company here that is looking to solve the problem of how can SMBs or really any size business that wants a secure AI platform take advantage of something that they know is safe, that they don't have to worry about. If I take my company's secret recipe or some blueprint that I've worked years on and I have patented, and if this were to get in the hands of my competitor, they'd be able to bury me underground. That's where Hatz comes into play. It's like you could take full advantage of all the great things AI could do, but it's not like the sneaky thing. Okay, well, where is this data actually going once I put it in there? Yeah. We have all that kind of documented.
Yeah. If you think about it from a business perspective, it makes so much sense, right? I mean, no one would use their personal, email account for business purposes, right? Businesses provide, those services, those technologies to all of their employees, because you need email, you need calendaring. This is the same way. But for some reason, we do see, as we talk to folks, a significant amount of just personal AI use. We look on the firewall, we do it's part of what we do. Just a little bit about our program. And then I'd like for you to talk to me a little bit about, what does it look like once I say yes and come on board? What is that onboarding? What does that rollout really look like? Our part of that is normally we normally put together an internal team. There's normally an internal AI team at the client, right? That is really leading the show with us in support of that. A lot of times it's a weekly meeting where we specifically talk about where AI fits, where it doesn't. We provide our expertise around things that AI is good at, things that it is not, the way to use it in hand with the training. So this is really the team that knows the business and is charged with being the internal AI team. And from there, it normally grows, and it grows as the platform is introduced, the trainings are rolled out, the workflows are kind of talked about, decided, and then we get busy really rolling this in a way that really elevates the business. That's what it normally looks like from our perspective. But from your perspective, as far as rolling out the actual platform, we create some users and go. What does it look like as
Yeah.
far as a rollout from your side?
Certainly can help there, Ron. So yeah, let's kind of show this here. So really, I'll pull up another slide because I think it's helpful. And I think if you think about Valancer as well, I know a lot of the people listening in, you may work with Valancer and Ron's team today on just normal stuff, like, maybe security, it may be other things. So typically they may be like your trusted advisor for security. So they have recommendations and things that could help with really how do we get going with it. So I think you hit everything perfectly. Generally, we'll take within an organization, take a couple of users that are really going to be the AI champions, the power users for that organization. And they sign up. Okay, now what? So try prompts with different LLMs. You may want to find trends in a spreadsheet and tell me how many references there are, or summarize this document. These are some very kind of basic examples. Then we get into the training. Talk about, like, for everyone that's using it, you're going to want to watch that. Like, the training, I think, is very important because it really explains, well, what is Hatz? How do we use Hatz? And then how do we get from the point of, like, okay, this is cool, but like, I want to get that nail in the coffin. I want to know, like, what is that use case that I can't live without now that I know that AI can do it for me. And that's where we get to that automation piece. But if we really look at it as a process, like a 0, 30, 60, 90 day kind of use case where now we start with an AI kickoff, like, we're going to really help with just getting it out to whether it's a couple of users, and then we expand over there, that crawl, walk, run framework to get it where we're going to help with that. Really, how do we get that ROI? Someone, now you guys have bought the platform. How do we build those use cases that justify, okay, I need this to work. Like, I need this to save me money. Where can I really find that ROI? How do I take advantage of it? And this is where, Ron's team and the whole platform team that they have are able to help develop some of these things for you, whether that's through agreements that you have or through different project work. But we have a lot of partners that will very much assist with those use cases to then get it to where you're scaling what works. Now you've found those use cases. How do we now get them, if they're maybe for the CFO or the financial team? How do we now get them out to the operations team and the marketing team, to where we're going to help with then day 90, kind of having those keep in touch. Typically, we have a lot of partners that will host like office hours with those customers that are using the AI tool, so that they could pop in there, they could ask questions. Hey, I'm using this, I'm using that. And again, this could be 15 days, 30 days, 45 days. Really, we spread it out just as, like, if we know nothing about an organization, because again, AI, there's a lot you could do with it. So, like, we want to make sure that it's getting to a point where those initial 5 users that are really using it day in and day out are able to then help the other 10, 20, 30 users get to a point where they know this works for the business. And we always say, leadership at customer organizations generally are the ones driving their AI journey, because we typically will see, an expert in AI who knows a little bit about construction, marketing, governance, whatever the industry is not going to be as effective as an expert in construction, or an expert in one of those fields. Yes. That knows what they could automate with AI, that knows what is something that takes me hours to do. And that's where, Ron, I know you work closely with your customers. If you know that it's the business type that they're in, and you are hey, we have another company that is using it for this, that's also construction, that's also operations, this may help you. That's where having a great partner like Valancer, and that's why here at Hatz, we only work through MSPs and IT solutions providers and companies like Valancer, where we need their assistance to properly deliver this platform, which is really the partnership. And that's, why I'm on here today, and we really enable and try to help those customers that trust companies like Ron's to work with us to get them the solutions that they need.
Agreed. There's a lot of AI around right now. We do a Thursday lunch and learn, which is a hands-on AI labs, which we found to be great. It's exactly that, an open office. It's not just Hat's private platform. It's really whatever the LLMs. We've talked about so many things on there. It's really an education. It's today's technology. It's new. Everybody's got to learn. So it's
Yep.
not just a one class and a one cert, right? It's a
Right.
daily, what can AI do for me? It's understanding you as a person being a thought leader, it being a thought partner, understanding the prompt engineering as a cook, as a basically an adventure creating a meal, right? There's so many ingredients with context and how do you want it and what do you want it to do? And just understanding the break away from the Google foo mentality of,
Right.
of really stepping into what this is. That takes a bit of education and evolution for a human. And so we do that on Thursdays with our lunch and learn. By the way, next Tuesday at 11, we'll have our AI profit and growth briefing, which is our once a month deal, where we specifically talk about specific industries and how you turn that technology of AI into profit, because it's a combination of increased income and reduced expenses. And it's not getting rid of people. If anything, it's empowering your people that already know your business to just be better, and everybody's improved from it. So it's throwing a cape on folks. That's really what it is. So yeah, we talk about those in specifics at our monthly. Michael, thanks so much for being on the show. You guys have really knocked it out of the park with the platform. We're a big fan, as I was saying. Any last words?
No, this has been great, Ron. Thank you for inviting me to join. And I'm definitely anyone that is, your customer that you're going to be working with Hats on. They may see me again. It's not like the end of the road here, but I think, anyone on the line listening in, Ron's team, they understand it well. I think the profitability, the ROI, that's really the goal of what Hats
Yes.
is. And that's why we have
Yes.
casting a wide net for ROI, that increased profitability, that increased time. If someone like what AI we love to see is that task that someone does every week that they drag out. They're like, I do not want to do this. I would be so much happier going to work every day
Yes.
if I could just not have to do this thing every day. That's where this comes in. And it's not going to
Yes.
take their job away. It's going to make them better at their job to where they're like, okay, I love this. I'm in it every day. And the people that we have partners that have a lot of their businesses utilizing the platform, that's what they love about it. It goes from, okay, this is a great way to kind of write my emails, to now I'm using it to really increase the profitability. My business is functioning better. I'm able to scale better. I'm able to take on jobs that I can never take on now. And ultimately, it's just been an overall perfect experience. But yeah, no, Ron, great having me on here. I'm very much appreciative of you and your partnership and working with Hats. And yeah, thank you for inviting me on the show this afternoon.
Absolutely. Last words here. This isn't a tech conversation, and it takes sometimes it takes a little shaking for people to realize cybersecurity is not a tech thing. It's a business thing from top to bottom
Correct.
in every way. Today's technology, offensive side, that's the AI. That's how we're wanting to increase, right? Defensive side, cyber. That's how we're wanting to keep what we've already made. So on this AI frontier, really recognizing that it's a business conversation, and it's not a, well, which LLM do we use? It's as a business, where do we need the help? What's the actual pain? From a people so and so that works down the hall and is so important to our business. What do they actually do, and what do they love that they do and hate that they do? Start there. I mean, it's such a problem solver, and if you don't know how to do it, ask it. I
Yeah.
mean, from every level, you don't know how to use it, ask it how to use it. It's such an enablement that we've really enjoyed being a part of this revolutionary today's technology as it gets rolled out, because real people's eyes open up. It's amazing to see the transformation from week 1 to week 2 when they start using it and realize what it is, and then find themselves at home spending a lot of time this cool new tool. So
Yeah, you
we've really
can ask
enjoyed
it,
the people side of this.
like you said, you could go into Hats and say, I am a marketing firm. My job is to develop PowerPoint presentations for my business. We are a food manufacturer. We design special ingredients for vegan recipes that go out to these specific industries. How could I use AI? And it'll give you a whole list of these are all the ways that you can use it. So a lot of times we always say, if you don't know how to Hats, just ask Hats. Or you don't know how to use AI, just ask AI, and then it will give usually some ideas where it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, that's really cool. I'm not even doing that today, but that's something that I can do. So yeah,
Agreed,
for sure.
sir.
It's like you said, it's like the industrial revolution that we're living through again. So
Absolutely. If you're hearing this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, drop a comment, instant message, or DM me, and we can definitely talk about pricing. We can talk about rollout, proof of concepts, all kind of different things that are very specific to each business, right? So thank you again. We will talk next time.
yeah, thanks so much, Ron. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.
You too, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.